driver off the deck for Corey Connors.
Here's driver off the deck for Victor Hovland.
So the driver off the deck. I know you would try this, right?
Oh my, what a shot.
Just to be able to hit it off the deck and get that thing down and fly it in running.
You have to put your foot on the gas. You pull out the driver off the deck and you put it on the green all the way up the hill.
I'm Josh Decker, and this is Off the Deck, where the game is just the beginning. Welcome back to the Off the Deck podcast. I'm your host, Josh Decker. Today, we're thrilled to have Heidi Kraft with us, hailing from Louisville, Kentucky. Heidi, how are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Honored.
Thank you for coming on. I was thinking about our conversation, and I think it's very apropos that you wear many hats, both literally and figuratively, especially living as close as you do to Churchill Downs. I was like, she does all the things.
Yep.
And you might be the busiest person that I know, just thinking about First Tee and your studio.
Yeah.
But let's start with just how you fell in love with the game of golf. Your introduction to the game, playing certain levels. Tell us about that.
Yeah, funny you mentioned wearing many hats. You sent me some notes on things that we might talk about, and I was like, I have a hat for all of these. Do I wear a hat for each segment? But I didn't prep them, and now I wish I would have. But let me see. Josh, you are frozen a little bit. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, awesome. All right, so how I got into golf. My parents were both in the golf industry, in the small retail golf business, when I was growing up. And my mom has worked in the sports world for a long time. And my brother and I pretty much played every sport under the sun. Golf was one that our parents definitely wanted us to stick to, but never shoved down our throats.
Yeah, no,
You got me. Sorry. So they never shoved golf as they never made that the sport that they wanted us to stick with. I know deep down they were hopeful, but they never pushed it. I was definitely better at a lot of other sports than I was at golf, but it's the one that I enjoyed the most. I'm 5'1". I've only been 5'1" since 5th grade. So I stopped growing and everyone kept growing. So that took me out of a lot of other sports that I played, but it was definitely my favorite of all of the sports. And I went on to play in college. I played at IUPUI, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, which is now just Indiana University, Indianapolis.
okay.
And now I'm here.
So let's go back to growing up. You said your parents had a sporting goods store. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Am I envisioning correctly that you, and I don't know if you have siblings or not, but you're growing up and you're running around the store grabbing whatever sporting equipment you want to off the shelf and hurling it across multiple aisles.
Absolutely.
And that's what you grew up with?
Yeah, so it was a golf specific store, and
Okay.
as the big box company Amazon, Dick's Sporting Goods, Golf Galaxies, outgrew them. But I got in a lot of trouble at softball practice because my parents had a golf store, and so every day after school I would go and hit hundreds of golf balls, and then I would go to practice and only swing it anything below my knees, and end up having to run poles after practice and get my ass ripped by my coach. And so eventually I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hang up the bat and keep the driver in my hand.
I love that. So you went after school and just wore yourself out and then would show up to softball practice absolutely gassed.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
So high school golf, what was that experience like? I mean, I live in Birmingham, and I think to make the high school team, you had to shoot in the 70s or maybe even better than that. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it definitely was not as competitive. My high school was a big high school, not as competitive girls golf as it was boys golf. But I am very proud that the team that I played on in high school is definitely one of the better teams that has come out of the school that I went to. And I technically live in southern Indiana, so Louisville, Kentucky, we're right on the river, and the river splits us right down the middle. And I live on the Indiana side, and it is small town, and all of the surrounding schools had great girls golf teams, including ours. And it was awesome because I think that when I got to high school is really when I started realizing golf is so much more than the score that you're shooting, because all of my friends were from teams, not just my team, but every team in the surrounding area. Those were my best friends, were all of the girls that I played against.
And I
So it
love
was
that you
awesome.
said
I
that about
loved
the
it.
scorecard because that's kind of why this podcast exists, right? Is we want to
Yeah.
talk about things that are more than that, more than those birdies
Yes.
that I rarely made and
Yep.
mostly the bogeys that I made. So, played high school golf, then played collegiately. What was the coolest experience that you recall from your time playing collegiately?
Um, Honestly, every time I think back on golf memories, nothing has to do with a score, which is awesome. And what it's all about and why I love the game so much. But I think it goes back to my friends. I am still best friends with all of my teammates that I played with in college. Playing college golf at any level is a very humbling experience. I go from being a really incredible player in high school and I was still a good player, but it's a new level. You're playing 6,200 yards plus and I'm strong, but I am 5'1", and I was considered a longer hitter. And then I get to college, and I am one of the shortest players off the tee on my team, and
Wow.
against everybody that I play with. And you get knocked back down quickly. And I am very lucky that my friends, my teammates were so encouraging because I fell out of love with golf for a very long time. Because of college golf. But I don't
Really?
ever want that to say that I didn't enjoy it. It was the greatest years of my life. I loved it. I have my best friends to thank from it. It made me a much better person, a much more disciplined person, but it did take me a long time to learn how to love golf again.
Interesting. Was it just the practice and the constant grind that it was at the college level?
Yes. Constant grind. I like to think it has helped in this day-to-day life now where my day is planned out for me from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. But it was a grind. School was tough. Trying to juggle playing a college sport of any kind. And I don't remember the exact NCAA rules, but it was something of you have X amount of hours that a sport can take up each week. Well, at the
Right.
time, it may or may not have changed since then. Your round of golf is only considered 2 hours of your allotted hours for the week. Well, we're
Whoa.
playing 18 holes several days a week, and we're 40 minutes away from, where we practice. And then you play a 4 to 5 hour round. You take almost an hour to get there, almost an hour to get back. And that's on top of a full class schedule. And it just really started to beat me down. And actually, at the end of my senior year, I decided I was going to quit. And that lasted about 24 hours. And our assistant coach, who is now a good friend of mine, who I look up to immensely, she called me and was like, "I think this is a huge mistake," like, and talked me off the ledge. And I stuck it out through the end.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine having that kind of schedule of, especially with the travel included. You're talking 2 hours just drive time to get somewhere to practice. Whereas
Yeah.
most of these kids now, I think about the facilities that Auburn and Alabama have, where they're better than some of the country clubs here in Birmingham,
Yep.
and have just state of the art everything. They've got TrackMan in every bay, and you were having to drive an hour one way just to get somewhere
Yeah.
to hit balls. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
and another part is, you leave your swing coach that you've known your entire life. So my swing coach was the same swing coach I've had my entire childhood since I picked up a golf club. And, I am very much a feel person, a visual, and I get to college and our swing coach is very technical and everything is on a TrackMan bay. Everything, I have teammates that are 6'1" and long, lanky. I'm a bowling ball. I'm like a little snooky meatball. My swing physically cannot look the same as theirs. And
yeah,
going
they're
to
long and languid, and you're more compact.
yeah, and going from someone who knows your golf swing like the back of my hand, like I can set up on FaceTime and I'm fixed immediately, and then having someone who's doesn't know my swing at all, has a completely different mindset. And I think that more than anything, it was so frustrating when things got bad. It took a lot more work for them to get just decent again.
Yeah.
And as you know, there's nothing worse.
So do you keep in touch with that coach and still ask questions if even if you're just playing recreationally, if you've headed down to Sweetens Cove and are playing and something's just off, will you prop up a phone and take video and send to that coach?
I will. Now I just took my first lesson since in 5 years. We were getting ready to go to Arcadia Bluffs, and all of a sudden, I
Oh,
could like barely make contact. I'm like, shit, I haven't had a lesson in years. So I call Scott, and I was like, yep, I need help. And it was, doesn't matter. It's the same swing I've always had. 5 minutes, and it's there. It's fixed. Which is awesome. But he also, fun story, is the same pro that I grew up working for, and my brother is an assistant pro, and works underneath of him. So he's very close with our family.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So fast forward to now. I mentioned at the outset that you wear many, many hats, which I'm incredibly impressed by all the things that you do. I'm lucky to be fully clothed and out the door on time to wherever it may be that I'm supposed to be heading. Um, I love that you're working with First Tee of
yeah.
Louisville. What attracted you to First Tee, and what drew you to that opportunity?
Yeah, so I volunteered with the Indiana chapter for a short bit when I was in college and living in Indianapolis, and just love what they do on a national level. And so when I moved to Louisville, back to Louisville in 2018, I wanted to get involved and I started serving on some of their event committees. And fast forward, I left the job that I was at and I was at a committee meeting and our executive director was like, I need a development director. And I said, well, I've never written a grant application. I have no idea what this means, but this program's incredible. I just, the game of golf has done a lot for me, and I had a family that was able to afford me the opportunity to play golf. And First Tee is, aside from golf, it, it gives that opportunity to kids nationwide, but especially in my own backyard in the Louisville community that wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise.
That's very cool. How do you all measure the success of programs and just implementation of what that looks like? Because very much like yourself, I kind of grew up with the opportunity to play.
Yep.
So it's kind of an unknown. And I mean, for me, and I'm a little embarrassed to even say that. And it is such a great
Yeah.
game. And this part of the reason this podcast exists is to talk to people about how golf has impacted their life. So the success and what does that look like for I guess, is it a regional First Tee? Are they state based? What's that structure
Um,
look like?
some are different. Some are city based. There's some that are state based. Just depending on how big of an area that your specific chapter works, but ours is just the Louisville community. And we're actually celebrating 20 years of First Tee Louisville this year, which is really exciting.
Nice.
But First Tee, a lot of people assume it is a junior golf program, and it's not. It is a youth development organization that teaches life skills through the game of golf. So they went through a little bit of a rebranding a few years ago. They did have 9 core values, and now they focus on their 5 key commitments. And the goal when a junior leaves the First Tee program, they can be anywhere from 6 to 17. And the goal is never to produce a tour player. If we do, oh my gosh, awesome. That's great. But our goal is to create quality human beings in the community that we're in. And, you know, being able to teach that, I think anyone that plays golf and has grown up playing golf can tell you you learn a lot about life on the golf course. And you try to teach those life skills through these kids and they end up being a great player, awesome. But we want them to be a human being that, these big companies that are our donors that they want to hire when they graduate college and they give back to their community. And yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome. And it's funny, like the first thing that popped in my head when you mentioned about just learning about life, I was like, oh yeah, golf is one of the few sports where you can do everything you're supposed to do, and then the rub of the green just absolutely hoses you. You might hit one
Yeah.
exactly how you wanted to hit it, but there's that sprinkler head right there, and it's going to
Yes.
bounce 30 feet in the air
Yep.
and go sailing over the green into that water that's on the back side of the green. And then you just got to take your lumps and deal with it. So it, now let's transition to the other hat that you wear. I'm fascinated by your studio. I was talking to my wife about it again today. What what was the impetus and what was the idea behind opening Ripple Effect? And I'm gonna butcher the other part of the name. Is it Legree?
Yep. It's Legree.
Okay.
Yep, that is exactly
Thank
right.
God I got it right.
Yeah. I just decided that I wasn't doing enough in a 9 to 5, so I wanted to, have no free time at all. Um, but little backstory, when I graduated college, you play a college sport. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Your entire day is planned out from you from 5 a.m. until truly 9 p.m. Between study tables and workouts and practice and driving to practice and then going to class and getting your schoolwork done. Every bit of your day is planned for you. And so when I graduated and I had my first full-time job, I was like 9 to 5, this is it. Like what else am I supposed to do with my time? And so I was really into fitness and I was really into group fitness and I started teaching Pure Barre. And I still teach Pure Barre classes. And that was a little over 6 years ago.
Hold on, time out. When do you teach Pure Barre classes in
Yeah,
addition?
I know. I still do that. But very much like golf, it is the community that I love about group fitness. The workout's great, but it is, that's where I find my friends. And so 9 to 5, I was like, what? Okay, well, I've got all these other hours in the day. What am I supposed to do? And so I started teaching group fitness and just fell in love with it. It is just, I love the way that a group fitness instructor makes me feel and the empowerment that I feel when I walk out of a studio. And I was like, I want to make other people feel that way. And so I've been teaching group fitness for a long time and took a Legree class. And at one point I thought, okay, what's next? Like, I love teaching group fitness, but what is the next step in this? And kind of always had a little itch of what would it be like to own a studio? And I took my first Legree class a couple years ago and I was like, this is awesome. There's a Legree studio on the east end of Louisville, but there's truly no group fitness in Southern Indiana where I am.
Wow.
And, one thing led to another. I brought the idea up to Tyler over, margarita at our favorite Mexican restaurant. And he was like, why not? Let's do it.
And shout out Tyler Kraft, best hair in Louisville, maybe best hair in all of Kentucky.
He's downstairs. His head's not going to fit through the door to get back up here.
What were the challenges that you ran into when you were trying to get your studio opened?
Permitting is a huge one. Finding time, like, am I even going to have time to do this? I love my job. I don't want to only do this, not to mention that you open a business, it's not making any money yet. So I can't quit my full-time job, nor would I want to. And so huge challenge was figuring out, is this even possible financially? And do I have the time to do this? Is there a need for it? Running all of those things, one thing led to another and there was no reason to not do it. So things were smooth sailing. And I want to mention, I opened the studio. My business partner is one of my best friends, Lindy. And so her brain works very differently than mine does. She's very type A. She's the back end office, spreadsheet queen. That's not me. So our brains work perfectly together to open a business. So having that person to bounce everything off of has been so helpful and is every day. But the construction to get somewhere open is horrific. We learned a lot. You need a lot of patience. Also, shout out Tyler Kraft. He is an architect, so he designed the studio and he does have to deal with things like that on the daily basis. So, I have him to thank for dealing with construction madness.
So, and I was looking again at your studio's website and just trying to understand, because I don't think there's anything like it in Birmingham. And I was reading about how it's all about slow, controlled movements. And that's kind of fascinating as it pertains to the golf swing. So
Yes.
this might be nerding out a little bit, but have you noticed, just with the type of movements and everything that you do in your studio, has it had an impact positively or negatively on your golf swing and how you put a move on the ball?
Absolutely. So I'm TPI certified. That was, I haven't done much with it in the last
We have another
couple
hat.
but there's another hat. So I love, obviously I love golf. I love fitness. How can I morph the two? I would love to be TPI certified. And, I did some work with some local high schoolers and some junior programs. And And the core and your glutes are the powerhouse of your golf swing. So if you are trying to get stronger, your core and your glutes, and mobility, that is your main focus. And Legree is a 50-minute full body class every time that you take a class, but your main focus, everything that you do, your core is engaged. You're doing a lot of lower body work, a lot of squats, a lot of lunges, which is, again, the powerhouse of the golf swing.
Right.
Tyler can attest he actually enjoys coming. That's predominantly a female, as most group fitness is, but Tyler comes and takes Legree classes, and we have quite a few men do. Usually we can sell them on it by you're going to hit the ball further. But a lot of core work, a lot of glute work. Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that you still teach Pure Barre. I went to a Pure Barre class with my wife years ago. It was one of their
Yes.
Bring Them In things on Valentine's weekend or something.
Yes. Yep.
And and that like Sunday I was kind of sore, and then Monday she texted me. She was like, "Hey, what's up?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm at home. My stomach hurts." And she thought it meant something like I had eaten something bad. And I was like, "No, no, no. Like my
Yes.
core is absolutely destroyed right now. Like if
Yes.
I breathe, it hurts. Like
Yes.
it hurts. Inhale, exhale. I cannot move. And please don't make me
Yep.
laugh because I am going to die just because of how sore I
That was one of my first ways of like, how do I tell how much Tyler likes me? And our first Valentine's together, I drug him to a Bring on the Men class at Pure Barre, and I'm like, you got to go
That's
to one a
awesome.
year. That's it. And so that was on a Friday night, and then fast forward to a Monday, like several days later, I get home, and he's like cradling his leg and the on the couch. I'm like, the hell are you doing? He's like, my seat or whatever the fuck you guys call it is killing me.
Yes, I can relate. And I remember talking to a guy and him being like, "Yeah, this isn't that difficult." And I was like, "It is." I
Yeah.
said, and like it's
Yes.
the very similar to Legree. It's that slow movement, but you've isolated it,
Yeah.
and you find those muscles that very rarely get used for someone like myself. And then when you do
Yeah.
utilize them, they let you know that they're there rather quickly.
Well, and I
That's
think
so.
in any
How long
sort
has
of
the studio been open?
we opened on May 18th, so 3
Okay.
months.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And when did that vision occur at the Mexican restaurant with Tyler? How
This
long from
was March of 2024, so just a little
Okay.
over a year from, the first thought of it.
Yeah.
I think the first time Lindy and I actually had the conversation was early April of 2024. So to us, it felt like forever to get this place opened. But in reality, it moved very quickly.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh you mentioned 2024. Do you recall what happened May 17th of 2024?
Uh, oh my gosh. You're testing me. No.
It was something that had to do with your local law enforcement and potentially the number one player in the world.
Yes, I remember very clearly. We were about 100 yards away from it.
So for
Very
listeners who
stressful
don't recall
day.
what I'm talking about, with her being
Yes.
from Louisville, Heidi, it's better coming from you than from me.
Yeah, so May 17th, since that is the day, 2024, PGA Championship, Scotty Scheffler gets arrested. Um, what a day. A monumental day in history, and I'm ashamed that I don't have that day memorized.
No, it's
Um,
fine.
yeah, crazy. Tyler and I were on our way to Valhalla, and we were committee chairs for the Shot Link committee that week for the PGA Championship, and a lot of rain that morning. We are trying to pull into the gates at Valhalla, the same entrance that the players go into. Where Scotty was turning right, we are trying to turn left. There were several big shuttle buses in front of us. It was very early in the morning. It was dark. It was raining. Um, all of a sudden we just come to a standstill, and I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like, we've got to go. Like gates are opening. We don't know what is happening. So we get parked, we hoof it all the way up to, where we're supposed to be, and turn the news on, and Scotty's not even in jail yet. Back up a little bit. We're trying to figure out what's going on as we're turning in the gates. And I roll the window down to like try to peek my head around. I can't see anything, but I hear screaming, I see flashing lights, and we're like, okay, whatever. Never in a million years would that have ever been what I imagined was happening.
And so you have some history yourself, more of the positive side, not necessarily dealing with law enforcement, of
Yeah.
working with Valhalla, correct?
Yes, I was the membership director at Valhalla for several years and was just the most awesome place, the greatest members. The PGA owner owned us for several years that I was there, and then the new ownership group that took over. They just amazing course, amazing club, amazing members, and just a staple in Louisville.
So so what was it like? Obviously, you had lots of connections there. Being there that morning when all that went down. I mean, I'm sure if you know from your time working there, you knew members that are still active members. I mean, plenty of people that I'm sure you were close to. I can't fathom. I mean, I remember vividly sitting on my couch, and I don't know that I've refreshed Twitter as quickly and as frequently as I could, all trying to watch it live on ESPN, just seeing what was happening. What was it like on the grounds?
Um, I think I see it from a little bit different perspective. There was so much buzz. People have the most insane stories. Nobody knows what's actually going on. But what I do know is that for the time that I started at Valhalla in 2018, this was right after it was announced that 2024 was going to be the next PGA Championship, which was 10 years after the last PGA at Valhalla. And for 6 years, not just the team at PGA headquarters, the team at Valhalla has, put blood, sweat, and tears into the golf course and to the clubhouse and to everything on those grounds, internally, externally, to make this week make the whole world of golf see what we work so hard for every day. And the long hours that the agronomy team puts in, the long hours that the pros put in, that our GM, and it is like everything that we worked for wasn't overshadowed by that, but it did have, it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And that's now what is going to be thought of when you think of Valhalla in the PGA Championship. And so to me, it was just kind of a somber morning because you see everyone around you that has put in so much work, so stressed, so anxious. You know, the news media is going wild. It was very stressful. I knew Scotty was going to be fine. He's Scotty Scheffler. He's one of the most incredible human beings ever, but it was just very sad. Everyone just stressed, upset, and we worked so hard for this, perception of our club and, the members, and this is now what's thought of.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
it was a
I've never
very
thought of,
stressful morning.
I've never thought about it through that lens of all of the staff and all of the time, effort, and energy that went into all the
Yeah.
things leading up to actual tournament week. Um, yeah, that's a completely different way to look at it, as opposed to focusing on the law enforcement and however they thought they were handling things that morning.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. Where do you know or recall where you were when y'all got the news that he was coming back and was was going to make his tea time?
Yeah, yes. So we were sitting, checking in our volunteers, getting everybody situated out on the golf course, trying to navigate the rain. I mean, it was so wet, so disgusting outside. So we're trying to do our jobs while figure out what the hell is actually going on. And they had so many TVs up everywhere. We're finding out in live time like everyone else is. So I see a black cameras, local news station have cameras pulling up Jimmy Kirchdorfer and his son Jay. Jimmy's our owner, and Jay is one of our board members at First Tee. And I see the black Range Rover pull up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Jimmy went downtown to pick up Scotty from jail. I mean, just iconic.
Yeah, that scene, and I remember like seeing Marty Smith from ESPN like
Yep.
right there, and yeah, it was a wild wild morning. I woke up with just I mean, I get more texts when Auburn loses than anything, but I had more texts
Yeah.
about this than than anything I think I've
Yep.
ever experienced,
Uh-huh.
and it was surreal to watch, just in real time of everything that had happened. And then of course you already have people with the free Scotty t-shirts on the golf course with his mugshot.
That is
Like
the wildest thing I have ever seen. Was we're sitting there right by the gates, and they open. I'm like, somebody's wife has a cricket that is putting in overtime this morning because there were prison Scotty hat or shirts on and orange jumpsuits. I'm like, it is 7:30 in the morning or whatever time it was. And I'm like, how did you the Halloween stores aren't open in May, like Amazon's not working that quick. How are you guys coming up with
Right.
these outfits so quickly?
It was an incredible day for good reasons and bad reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, something I will never forget. Do you miss the country club world?
I miss parts of it. I Like I said, I loved our owners at Valhalla. I loved my coworkers. I mean, it truly as family, as much of a family atmosphere that you can get at work anywhere. The members were amazing. It was so awesome, and I'm still very close with a lot of people from there. But I'll be honest, Josh, I don't miss the long hours. It is a lot of hours. Being in the golf world, depending on what you're doing, especially at a club like Valhalla, it's a lot. And at one point, Tyler and I were newly married. I had to take a step back and just think, like, what do I want for my career? And is it working 6 days a week and your only off days, Monday when the club is closed?
Right.
And I commend every assistant golf pro and golf pro that is grinding it out, with that lifestyle because it's not easy. And it just wasn't at that point, just really wasn't for me. And I just knew that, we don't have kids yet. Now's the time that I can kind of figure out my next step in my career, and why not? And Jimmy Kirchdorfer, one of the owners at Valhalla, um, I remember him coming in, me calling him into my office to tell him that I was leaving. And he's the CEO of ISCO, that just hosted the ISCO Championship in Louisville. And just an incredible person to get life advice from. And I remember I was so scared because I was so honored to be able to work for him and with him. And he, talked to me like he would talk to his daughter, his son, and was like, you will find what is going to, fill your cup. And when you lay your head down at night and you're proud of what you're doing and you feel accomplished, like you'll know when you're in the right place. And it was just a couple weeks later that I got the offer from First Tee, and it couldn't be further from the or closer further from the closer to the truth, whatever. He exactly what he said is every night I lay my head down, I'm like, this, I love what I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one more topic, and I'll let you get out of here. Just got to ask. I've been fascinated with your home renovation, and this has nothing to do with golf, but everything
Yeah.
leading up to this does have to do with golf. How old is your house, and what percentage of it have you and Tyler gutted and redone? The pictures
Yes.
of it are fascinating. Are y'all done yet?
We are not. We are nowhere near done. I think anyone that owns a house can tell you, like, there is always work to be done. We live in New Albany, Indiana, which is a small town, and we live on a very cool historic street that my mother-in-law lives 4 doors down from us. It's a street that I loved growing up, and we bought a home here in 2021. It is 100 years old, and every floorboard creaks, and it is so awesome. We did a full exterior renovation on the front of the house. We've done a full kitchen renovation. Every room's been touched to an extent, but we are nowhere near finished.
We've done a renovation ourselves, but it wasn't something that was 100 years old. I can't imagine the plumbing and what your AC is like and how cold it probably gets in the winter.
Yeah, there's no insulation. The upstairs is very hot. The downstairs stays nice and cold. We had a pipe burst a couple years ago, right before our kitchen renovation started, and this pipe is as old as the house. And I tell you what, like, you get down in the nitty gritty behind these walls, and they do not make homes materials the way that they used to. The fact that this pipe held up that long is insane.
Yeah, that's wild. And I'm sure it was incredibly thick too. It was like
Yes.
just a massive pipe. Yeah, you probably had to have some kind of special saw to
Yeah.
cut it open.
And then I see what we replace it with, and I'm like,
Right,
okay.
it's just some kind of plastic PEX
All
pipe or
right.
something.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Your ideal, and this is just a few quick hitter questions and then get you out of here. Ideal day on the golf course? Is it dew sweeping or is it golden hour? What's your ideal scenario on the golf course?
Do sweeping with no scorecard.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gotten that answer yet.
Yeah.
What's the favorite
Loving
club
it
in the bag
lately.
right now?
Ooh, 8-iron all day.
Okay. And is that because of distance control or just comfort hitting it?
Both. It's been my go-to. If I could have one club for the rest of my life, it's an 8-iron.
Okay. I love
Yep.
that. Favorite course you've played this year?
Do I have to say Sweetens Cove? I'm just
You
kidding.
know, not at all. Not at all.
Kidding. I have not played a ton of golf this year, but Sweetens.
Okay. I mean, if that's the legitimate answer, then that's the legitimate
No,
answer.
that's a legitimate answer.
And then dream foursome.
Oh, shit, I should have studied this.
No, well, that's why I want to catch you off guard.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't have to say Tyler.
No, sorry, he's out. Okay, dream foursome. Myself, my papa Bill, who passed when I was really young, but real small guy, hit the ball a mile, real boring golfer from what I've heard. Fred Couples.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Fred Couples and need to get a celebrity in there. Oh my God. I feel like I should come up with a female, but I can't. It's terrible of me. I can't come up with one.
It's not terrible at all.
Papa Bill, Fred Couples, myself.
Boom booms. That's an interesting
Oh,
one.
boom boom.
Why Freddie?
He was like, I think to my parents, he was like my mom and like my dad, they're Rory. Like he was their favorite player. And I think, whenever I'm talking about my favorite tour players and I'm talking about Rory and Scotty to my future kids, that's just kind of, I grew up, he was the one,
Yeah.
and he's just a cool guy. He's just cool.
He is a cool guy.
And
He's a
you know
really
what?
cool
I'm gonna throw my mom in there. My mom is one hell of an athlete, and
guy. Is she thick?
she is, and she is 62. She has Parkinson's, and I tell you what, she gets a golf club in her hand, and it's like she never quit playing the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But
very
I've
cool.
never, it's crazy. I've never actually played a full 18 holes with my mom. She's watched and judged a lot of my 18 holes, but I've never played a full 18 holes with her.
You need to make that happen. Get her down to the Cove, do a couple loops.
Yeah. Should be a good beer girl at the Cove.
Oh, there we go. That'd work too.
Yeah.
Heidi, thank you for coming on. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. I hope it didn't throw you off by asking about May 17th, but that was too good to pass up.
Couldn't pass it up. Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. For Heidi Kraft, I am Josh Decker, and this has been another episode of Off the Deck.